This podcast is being recorded on Indigenous land. We stand with our Indigenous brothers and sisters in their struggle against racism and capitalism. Always was, always will be Aboriginal land. Hi, welcome to the party line. You're here with me, Anneke.
Geordie.
Omar.
Why'd you say it like that?
It's just been a tough week for me.
Oh, has it?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. I just wrote an article and I'm copping a bit of blowback.
Yeah, I saw actually someone on Instagram offered you a 1v1.
Yeah.
Are you going to take one?
Yeah, I'm just thinking of like what competition to sign up for. Like maybe
I mean, they wanted to fight you.
I know, but I'm thinking we could do
Chess.
like schnitzel eating, chess. I'm not very good at chess. Too much planning. Yeah. Freestyling?
Oh, like you're going to rap?
Yeah.
Do you want to do some bars now?
No, I've got to prepare. I've got to prepare for that one.
I don't think that's how freestyling works.
Yeah. Well, you know, you would say that. There's a lot of preparation involved, Geordie. Listeners,
I feel sorry for you for some reason. But
our listeners can make up their own mind. Anyway, if you want to find out what we're talking about, check out Red Flag. You can search for Black Bloc.
Or Omar.
Oh my darling, oh my darling, oh my darling party line. Oh, I never will forsake thee, for I love this life of mine.
The other thing that's happened for me this week, which I was kind of shocked by, was walking in. We have a robot vacuum cleaner.
I really want one.
In the Victorian Socialist Volunteer Centre, and which is really cool to me. Like, it's like the future technology has come to the everyday person. But this brand of vacuum cleaner is called Labubu, which, you know, never heard of them. And there was a sticker on it called Labubu Anti-Fascist Action, which is just like so many layers deep into the internet world. I had to ask Anneke to translate it for me.
Yeah, but and also what I informed Omar of is that actually Monchichi's a much cooler Labubu. So if you want to check us out on YouTube, you can see the Monchichi that my nephew gave me.
Which is sweet, because we don't actually have any Labubus.
No, they're scary.
What are they?
They're like...
Soft toys.
They kind of look like this, except really scary.
Okay. And like adults are into them.
Yeah, you wear them on like your bag. It's like a sort of fashion...
When you say you mean
one.
weirdos.
No. Well...
Well, so I guess some people are weirdos, but some people aren't. It's also like adult gambling. Like you go to...
What?
I mean, I guess all gambling's meant to be adult gambling. Like you go to a store and you buy a Labubu and there's like limited edition ones and you don't know which one you're going to get.
Maybe you'll get the Coca-Cola
So it's
one.
just like a manufactured like hype thing, like Pokemon cards but for adults.
Yeah.
Yeah. Someone put one
Wow.
on Karl Marx's grave in the UK.
Yeah.
Oh man, this is what the internet does. It literally rots the world.
Riding out the party line.
I saw someone making an equivalent because in America there's been a lot more people going to colleges requiring remedial maths subjects
Oh.
from
Because of Labubus.
Directly related.
No, I mean they say from 2020 onwards there's been more need for remedial maths, and then someone said that's when they introduced Instagram Reels.
That's quite funny.
So
But don't you have to count all your likes and stuff?
I think it does that for you.
it's just a little number, Omar.
But seriously, the AI thing is, I reckon like AI is going to make everyone so stupid.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like, does anyone who do a university degree anymore do
Not
any
use it.
writing?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Because I mean, it's understandable. University writing is so pointless, but you know, you used to pick things up along the way by accident, sort of, by doing the readings and trying to debate right-wing shits. But now presumably everyone's just putting in some prompts and
But maybe you can debate the right-wing shits using ChatGPT.
yeah, maybe you could have like two ChatGPTs debating each
Yeah.
other and just watch.
Yeah. Well, I was talking about this with someone over the weekend. I was at the Adelaide Socialist Party conference, their founding conference. It was really lovely, like 100 people, really cool. But we were talking about some of the AI stuff because, you know, there's that meme about how when we were introducing robots, we thought, you know, it would give us more time to do painting.
Yes.
And
Yeah, I love that.
But then now actually it's just the robots get to do the art and we still have to wash the dishes.
Yeah. Well, there's a robot cleaning our floor outside.
That's true, yeah. That's true. Thank you, Labubu. Blue.
Elon?
No.
I don't think so.
We will never thank Elon Musk on this podcast, and that is a promise.
That's true.
It's a promise.
Maybe we could do an AI version of this pod. and just see what it comes up with. Could we release that as a bonus
There
episode?
is an AI podcast. Like, it's like cats and dogs talking to each other. That's a...
Yeah, but you know how there's like deep fake stuff?
Yeah, yeah.
Could we like do a prompt that says, you know, make a party line pod?
I reckon we could do that.
I don't think our listeners would like that.
No, I
very
don't think
much.
anyone... And I
No.
don't think we should release it. But, like, that is a thought experiment.
Okay, stay
There-
tuned.
And also, like, the other thing about AI is just how environmentally destructive it is.
That's true.
Like, Amazon had this study about how much water their data centers were using, and, you know, the new ones that they've had to introduce because AI is just like,
Yeah.
I don't really understand it, but you need physical things
Because they heat up. It's just like computers
Yeah,
getting
it's
really
a
hot.
cooling.
And they hid the survey, like the research into how much water they're actually using
Yeah.
because it was so much.
It is.
It's just terrible.
They're moving some of the like the servers to places like Antarctica and
Yeah.
stuff like that to naturally cool them, which will
Surely
be
not.
devastating.
I
Isn't
was
that just going to melt the ice more? Like
Maybe,
you put
yeah.
some hot fucking data
yeah,
centers.
just put it in.
I don't want to live in
Can you imagine that visual? Just like a warehouse full of
And the-
computers just melting
Amazon
through the
logos
Oh, no.
start to appear.
It's shocking. Actually, in China, I was reading this story about how they're building them in mountainous villages, and then they're piping the hot air that the data centers
Oh, to
produce
warm
to
the
actually
houses.
warm houses in
Wow.
this mountain town,
That is
which is
That
actually
sounds-
very
that
rational.
sounds cool.
Which is kind of, I think, why China's winning. You know, like they still have people who think about things, whereas America's just like, let's build them in the desert in Arizona. And like take water from wherever and funnel it into computers so that Omar can set up a podcast using fake AI characters.
Yeah,
Anyway, so I don't use it. I do my bit. I don't use AI at all.
that's good.
I don't even know how.
Well, you do use AI because it's just built into everything now. Like when you Google shit,
Oh, totally.
it's just, you know, the AI responses
And
come
it's
up.
so it's so
And they're
unreliable.
wrong,
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're always wrong.
You just scroll
click-
past it.
Well, I click on the link to try and see where the piece of information has come from, and
yeah,
it's like
it's just that's
doesn't
not
exist.
correct. Yeah, exactly.
Doesn't
We made
exist.
this up. Also, the Google CEO or Alphabet or whatever the parent company is called.
Alphabet. Is that what it's
Alphabet. Yeah. That's what Google, the company that owns Google, is called. I think they're just the same thing, but whatever. It's probably some tax.
They do
thing.
military industrial stuff and all sorts of things.
All the good things. After getting rid of their "Don't be evil"
That's right.
stuff, he's come out and said that there's going to be a like an AI bubble thing that's probably going to pop, like the .com
I think there is
Well,
one.
thing.
Yeah, and like the guy who did The Big Short.
Yes, he's quit. He's just like, I give up. I can't do this. He
I
closed his.
Well, I thought he was short. He was starting to short the AI stuff.
That's what he's doing, and then
Yeah.
he's like, I can't
Oh, really?
understand what is happening anymore, so
Oh.
I'm quitting. Like he
The thing
literally
is,
just, like,
he's
quit.
he's predicted a lot of crises. You know,
Didn't any of it got
yeah.
one right?
yeah, he got one right. So
I'm just kind of. I don't really.
it's a mug's
know.
game, as Diane Fieldes would say, our guest later on this pod.
Yeah, I can't really separate him out from Christian Bale. So
Oh, exactly.
But
yeah.
wasn't Christian Bale Dick Cheney?
Yes.
yeah, but I haven't seen that one, so I
Yeah.
don't think of him as Dick Cheney. I just think of him as.
The Big Short.
Yeah, we've
guy.
only
Yeah.
seen the acceptance speech and Batman.
I don't watch any superhero movies. Sorry.
Hey,
Same.
Jordy, you know how you run shitty rentals?
Mm.
I actually have a literally shitty.
Let's
rental
go.
at the
Yeah.
moment. So
Your house is beautiful.
I know
It's a beautiful
It's a
house.
beautiful
Yeah.
house, but it's got earthenware pipes, like the sewage pipes.
Oh, like the clay ones.
Yeah,
Wow,
Whoa.
that's old.
it's
Yeah.
old, man, and so like it collapsed,
As
and
they
so
do,
now there's
yeah.
just like literally raw sewage in my backyard.
Don't you have the right to call a plumber in that context?
We've called they've sent 2 plumbers to come and take a look. You know, you just got to take a look.
I
just
think
to
that
see
counts
what's
as
going on.
emergency. Just fix it, man.
It is. Yeah.
Send them
yeah.
the bill.
Send them the bill. Well, they thanked me for my time on the phone, and they're just checking to see with the landlord if he'll approve the cost or if he's going to organise it himself. So
I'm sure the landlord's going to come and dig some pipes
Yeah.
under the ground. Yeah.
so don't come around to my house anytime soon, guys.
Noted. Yeah. It's so ridiculous. Like the whole thing. Like you can only spend up to a certain amount if it's emergency repair.
Oh,
like
is it?
a plumber is going to cost a lot more than that because they have to. Like this is a pretty big.
They need
Oh, I didn't know
they
that.
said they need a
They need an excavator. Yeah. like that's more than.
So that doesn't get covered by the
Yeah.
emergency thing.
But you can put a breach notice in and whatever, and then
Yeah,
you
but
can
then
get
they-
evicted.
Yeah, exactly. Because they'll just say it's not
Yeah.
habitable. It's
Totally.
the system's made for us to lose and for
Would
the
you
landlords
believe?
to win.
Shit.
Yeah.
Someone should start a pod about that.
Riding out the party line.
So for our listeners today, we are going to talk a little bit later on with Diane Fieldes. She's was a lecturer at the University of New South Wales on industrial relations, and she's going to talk to us about the Whitlam dismissals. So stay tuned for that. But one thing, just before we get into some of our other hashtag content, we want to do a listeners questions episode in the next little while.
Because we're all out of luck. We've got nothing else to say.
We got nothing at
We're
all.
done.
Yeah. We actually hate each other now. We spent too many weeks together. No, that's not true. We love each other. But so we want you to I'm ignoring that.
Silence is sometimes the best option.
But yeah, we want you to give us some questions.
Yes, please.
So you can go to our Patreon thingamajig website, and there's a post there that we put up where you can submit some questions in the comments. And speaking of Patreon,
Oh yeah, we can turn
Dun,
on
dun, dun, dun.
Yeah,
yeah,
go on.
We've now got more than 10 subscribers.
Patrons. They're called
Patrons.
Patrons.
Yeah,
Which is a kind of evil concept. But
definitely.
anyway, we have more than 10, so ads are officially cut.
Yeah.
So
but
don't worry, you don't have to set up a gambling account. You don't
Yeah.
have to do
yeah.
it.
And
join
we're just
the
putting an
police.
asterisk next to that because we're just being real. If we make it really big and the advertising money is worth it, we're probably going to reconsider. But for now,
Totally.
we're good.
Yeah, because maybe if we make it really big, like we can pay for Geordie to leave work on the ads or something like that.
That'd
yeah.
be nice.
Then he can actually say what he thinks.
Yeah, then
Yeah.
I can.
Geordie's been doing a lot of self-censoring, okay?
Yeah.
He's way more radical than he actually appears.
There's been a couple of episodes where I've not been, like, particularly this one that we recorded where I'm not allowed to talk shit about the Labor Party
There
very
you go.
much.
I did some self-moderating a couple of episodes as well because Geordie was talking about how they banned people from going on the top of Parliament House. And one of the reasons for that was actually my mum.
I didn't know that.
Because she was part of the protest where they dropped the banner
Yes, I
over the
do
front
remember
of
that.
on Parliament House, and because they got up there. And so the reason why I self-censored is because I that morning or a couple of days before had a text message from some fuckhead from the Herald Sun,
Yeah.
who was like, "Hi, is your mum gay to Manuel?" And I was like, not answering that question.
Left on unread.
And I thought that maybe like they couldn't confirm that we were, you don't want someone to write a hit piece about you or whatever. I thought maybe they would be able to confirm that she was my mum, but she was my mum. And so it's out
Probably still
now.
is.
Is that a scoop? Is that a party line scoop?
That's a scoop. Yeah.
Annike's mum is in fact her mum.
Yeah. You can fact checked, verified, green tick. So yeah, if people want to read the hit piece, we're a trouble family. Search trouble family.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that wrong. Depending on your perspective, there's a lot of trouble coming from that family, but I love your mum.
Me too.
She helped us in a very interesting time giving birth.
Oh yes.
She did, and she's a great activist as well. So that's probably the more important part. But
She's great.
she's a great person.
Yeah. Okay, so Geordie, I think.
What happened this week?
Yeah,
Wanna
can
talk
you
about?
tell us what happened?
Got some headlines. Actually, before we start, I got a call from a Yahoo finance journo today asking me what I think about the new rental legislation that's coming into effect on the 25th of November.
What'd you say?
And what is the rental? I haven't.
Yeah, that's true.
In summary, they're
They're fixing everything.
it's
Are we
definitely-
good?
Are
Have
they
we
gonna-
won?
Are they going to fix my shitty rental?
Nope. So they're what's it called? They're banning rental bidding again. This is the second time that they
As in where you offer more than the advertised price.
yeah. Or that. So previously when they did it, they're like, we're banning rental bidding, and then but they didn't ban. So they banned the solicitation of rental bidding. So real estate agents weren't allowed to like ask that
In
you
writing.
bid more. Yeah, but then they're allowed to accept.
Oh yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. So it's like they're.
Oh
doing
well, it's
that again.
progress.
Sure.
Slow inching progress.
Another thing that they're banning again no-fault evictions. So again, the second time that they've announced that they're banning no-fault evictions.
But so what happened to the first time they banned?
You were allowed to evict someone at the end of the first fixed term.
Really?
Yeah. So
I was operating under the assumption they couldn't get rid of me.
because your first fixed term finished.
Yeah.
Remember? But you had a 6-month lease.
That's right.
But yeah, so the first fixed term, they were still allowed to no-fault evict
Now
you.
they can't.
Now they can't do that. Now you can just get evicted by no fault through an unlimited rent increase, or like the landlord literally just
Wants
lying.
to move back in or something.
Yeah,
I really don't want them to evict me because my next door neighbor is this Italian woman called Antonia, and she's like my nonna now, and she bakes me bread. It's so nice.
So
Well,
you're
you
leeching
can't-
off your elderly neighbour.
I mean, I help her too.
What do you do?
We were going through her medical appointments yesterday.
alright.
I was sending
that's
emails
sweet.
and
That's
text
legit.
messages.
That's legit.
Come
All right,
on.
I take that back.
Yeah, you
Come
deserve
on.
the bread. That's fine.
I'm just too cynical. Yeah.
All right. I don't want to talk to Omar anymore. Jordan.
All right, headlines this week. I got some good ones. I've also got some bad ones.
Oh, okay.
The first one, this is published by Nine, and they said it's a dangerous week to be a Liberal leader as killing season kicks off, which is quite funny.
Did you guys see Brad Batten's like acceptance of the kicking out speech that he did?
No?
Oh my God. It's like his face is so puffy and his eyes are so red. And
Buddy.
it's so clear that he's just been bawling his eyes out. And then he had to do this interview. It's so good.
He's like, I stand by whatever. They always do that.
Yeah.
Like, incredible. So they've had a lib spill in Victoria. Excellent. There was a threat of one in New South Wales. Didn't happen.
I saw a headline on a related thing, which was really awesome. That let me just find it. Liberal leadership, the participation award for everyone in class,
That's yeah,
which is fucking sick because that's the sort of right wing trope about everything.
Totally.
Like, the Labor, the AFL has got like a new final setup. Oh, it's just like
The new final
woke.
setup
Yeah.
is shit.
I mean, who cares? But it's just like woke bullshit, you know. Oh, everyone gets a participation award, and it's like this is just Liberal
This is
Party.
you,
Every year,
yeah.
someone gets a turn. Alex McKinnon, is that his name?
Yes.
Yeah, he put out a tweet saying, "Oh, sadly, I've been elected leader of the Liberal Party."
so good.
You know, and then someone replied, "Yeah, but don't worry, it'll only be for a couple of days."
Exactly, you'll
Like,
be fine. Yeah. But they have in Victoria, they've had more leaders during their stint in opposition than they've had years in government this century.
Whoa.
yeah, Labor's been in for just forever, apart from one little blip.
It's quite funny. Anyways, who cares about them?
Not me.
So Cloudflare, Cloudflare, the US company, crashed again, which took down half the internet again, including some essential services again. So that's something that we can expect to happen.
They're that annoying website that, like, when you go to something
The
and
DNS.
it pauses you for a bit.
Yeah, it's like checks you're not a
robot.
a bot.
Yeah.
So
There you go.
last time they crashed, I was they made me stay in Tasmania. I was in Tasmania.
Jordan doesn't hate Tasmania. He really likes
I
it.
love Tasmania. I was just in Tasmania for pleasure.
So what? The plane couldn't fly.
Yeah, I checked in and everything, and then they were like, "Sorry, we can't take off because some US company has
What a
shut down our
world.
website."
It's that thing of like these private companies
Yeah.
that just get to
Yeah.
run everything. Like the bloody thing with Optus and the 000 services in Australia.
Well, someone died actually
yeah.
from TPG. The same thing.
Yeah. So it's just like shows you where privatization gets us. Nowhere good.
And then next to the US government shutdown is over, fortunately, and the US Department of Education hit us with a really cool tweet.
Yeah, play it for us.
Okay, guys, we're back. Did you miss us? Because we missed you.
It's just like, why do they get to do stuff like this? Like, it's like they're actually enacting like fascism, and then it's like Kim Kardashian.
It's
you
really
miss
weird.
us?
Like, this is the American government. I mean, it's not it's not meant to be a joke, but it is. I mean, the woman who's
Surely
in
they
charge.
thought it was a joke.
No, but it's they've got a few tweets like that because their
Yeah.
argument is you didn't miss us. We don't want to be back.
Yeah.
We should be abolished.
Yeah.
So
Please.
yeah, there's a few because it's Linda McMahon. She's the
Yeah.
the wrestling
WWE.
one. Yeah. So
Yeah.
the whole thing is like you didn't even notice that we were gone.
Yeah.
But it's just like it's just amateur hour. I mean, it's just the internet. Even the American ruling class now are becoming internetified.
Yeah, they're making memes of it. Yeah, it is incredible. Anyways, next we've got Larry Summers, deeply ashamed, steps back from public life over Epstein links.
I mean, you could say, who are you most upset about being named in the Epstein files? I mean, for those of us on the left, probably Chomsky.
Who?
Yeah,
Chomsky.
Chomsky. Yeah.
Oh,
No,
I
not
missed that.
Kevin Rudd.
No, Chomsky, really?
Kevin Rudd's in
Okay,
there,
so
yeah.
we'll come back to the Chomsky bit. What was the Kevin
No,
Rudd?
He's in there.
that's. I mean, Kevin Rudd's an absolute pig. What did Chomsky get named as?
They
Yeah,
were like pen pals,
besties.
best friends.
Oh.
Chomsky was on the plane. For sure, like for real.
God damn.
For real.
Anyways, good on him.
No, once again, Geordie, not good on him.
No, not good on him.
That's
Not
sad.
defending him.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about Epstein is he was primarily a liberal. You know,
Yes.
like
yeah.
it's sort of become all about Trump, but Trump was a Democrat.
Yeah.
You know, for most of his life, and that's why he was part of this scene. You know, there were very few Republican connections with Epstein, so that's why the Democrats never wanted to release these files.
Totally.
There's
Yeah.
like an element of truth to it.
But they all just voted to release
I know.
all of the files except one Republican. There's like one Republican that voted not to.
God, you wonder what he's been up to.
Yeah, what's going on there?
Yeah.
Also-
Anyway, it's a pretty sordid thing. I mean, basically, it just shows the ruling class as savages.
I mean, they're so like they're actually
disgusting savages.
really
Yeah.
disgusting, and there's just so many examples of ruling class people acting in disgusting, sexist ways because they're used to being able to control people to get what they want. Their whole life is being able to buy someone, tell them what they want,
that's right.
get their way, and so then that extends out into ways that they, you know, act toward people in their private, you know, quotation mark private lives. They just demand people serve them. Like that's the psychology of the ruling class, and of course they're fucking disgusting.
Yeah. It is, yeah, it's feral. But
And anyways,
also-
Larry Summers should have stepped back from public life ages ago.
yeah, totally. Yeah.
He should never have stepped into public life.
But he's also not. He's going to
Absolute
still
prick of a
continue
monetarist.
teaching
At
at Harvard.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, anyways.
He's
Good
really
stuff.
sacrificing for the cause. Yeah.
Beautiful. Well done. $60 billion was wiped from the ASX yesterday.
See, I don't understand.
I
Like,
it's cool. They're like ASX, just like stock market equals rich people's bank account.
Well, it's not just that, unfortunately. Remember, we talked about
Yeah,
superannuation.
And
Imagine if
obviously-
you're like 67 and about to retire
Yeah.
and suddenly your super goes down.
Totally. And also it means like, you know, national wealth in terms of our government's future funds and like, you know, Norway's sovereign wealth fund and all that shit, which is all evil and whatever. But yeah, also workers' interests tied to capital.
terrible.
But yeah, I didn't. I was like, "What does this mean?" I clicked it. It's like I understand like 4 of these words.
Should we get someone who understands economic stuff? to
No,
comment?
no one understands the
No,
stock
yeah,
market.
yeah. It's
It's just
Like
a
we-
casino.
we probably do understand it. It's just like, of course, like there's not really anything. Like, of course, this happened. We had a South African man who attended a neo-Nazi rally outside New South Wales Parliament. Had his visa revoked and he's being deported.
Yeah.
A rally that was sanctioned by the New South Wales
Yeah.
police.
Like, it's ironic, and like on one level it's like, yeah, fuck off, you piece of shit, but on the other hand, like, isn't it sort of terrifying that the government can just like do a 4 a.m. raid on
Totally.
you, cancel your visa because you participated in like a, you know, action, or like, these guys are fucking disgusting, obviously,
Yeah.
but the concept of
Yeah, well, like they're deporting someone based on their political beliefs that were sanctioned by the New South Wales police.
And most of the time, we're the ones opposing the government.
Totally.
you know?
Yeah,
And
so
totally.
this,
but this
this
is
idea.
what they do. They do it to the right. They you know, implement new laws that are framed about fighting Nazis, like the weapons and shit like that. And then they
or the swastikas thing.
exactly, and then they predominantly use it against us. So this is them.
In both New South Wales and Victoria, the main targets of
Totally.
those anti-fascist laws have been pro-Palestine people.
Absolutely.
anti-fascist laws.
And I did
Yeah,
I did a
anti-fascist laws,
search on I did a Google Trend search on the search term "renounce South African citizenship." And there was a massive spike in
Western
WA.
I want to be a Nazi, but also remain in Australia.
Except it wasn't like there's a little spike when they announced that they were deporting him, but that wasn't where the spike came from. Something happened in October.
Oh, what was it?
I don't know.
You
but
should know that.
I should know.
You can't
that,
say that
yeah.
and not tell us the explanation.
Well, I don't know. I don't have any friends in what are they called, Boorloo.
Terrible.
Let's move on from the South Africans.
Anyway,
That's what I've always been saying.
Yeah.
people are saying this. Yeah. What was it? Did you add this one?
I added, this one, Mamdani's gender affirming care plan surgically erases gays, just like Iran.
Thanks, New York Post.
It's so just incredible.
Like how many steps of logic you have to sort of jump through to make sense of that headline?
So I read this article.
Oh yeah.
And it's just so deeply transphobic, obviously. So like what the article is arguing is that like kids used to just be able to be gay, but now they're being forced to be trans instead. And so it's just like this vile diatribe from the New York Post, which is unsurprising that.
And so Mamdani's pro-trans policies put him in the same basket as
Iran.
the Iranian
Oh yeah, because they're thinking about it.
Republican Guard.
They're saying that the Iranian government forces people to do, like gay people to do gender reassignment surgeries.
So what he should do is ban people from doing trans.
That's what the New York
I can
Times
see how that's similar. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the next one?
I forgot one. We have asbestos in sand at schools now, so that's also exciting.
Yeah, it's bad.
And a bunch of schools closed, only in the ACT and one other state, not here.
And on the ABC last night, they were saying that the only reason they found out about the asbestos was like just some lab just randomly was working on it. Like they weren't.
The kid sand stuff.
Yeah, it was just like it was totally by accident
Whoa.
that they found the asbestos.
That's nuts.
So how long has it been around?
I don't know.
There's like
I don't have
heaps
kids,
in
so.
so many schools. It's just like that. I've played.
Yeah,
with
yeah,
that
we have it at
sand.
my school. Yeah,
yeah.
But it's the coloured kinetic sand.
yeah. I mean, it's all coloured.
Yeah, the fun sand, not sand.
But it must be from like one particular batch or something.
It's like from like Timu, some factory in China.
hell.
Yeah.
That's
capitalism,
great. Yeah.
and
I
it's-
saw actually the CFMEU posted about it like 2 days before it was a massive thing. Like there was, I was like, yeah. So I just assumed it was like some building related thing. It's like, oh, that's fucked. Get rid of the asbestos. And then I read more.
Children's toys.
It's like children's play sand. Like, oh,
OH&S has never been a priority for capitalists.
No.
We've got some more. Omar has put these in, so you're going to read them out.
Yeah. Here's this one from The Age, always hitting with the important news. From the extreme to the luxurious, toilets occupy my mind when traveling.
God.
You know what?
Yeah, so Geordie is a fucking poo traveller.
What?
Well, as soon as I go to an airport, I need to shit. I am overcome by this overwhelming urge to poo.
I just didn't need to know that.
Well,
but,
you do now.
Yeah. Anyway, I mean, the banalities of the travel section, which
Yeah.
is quite high up on the Age website these days. The next one is from the New York Times. The case for overthrowing Maduro.
Oh, God.
Which, yeah, I mean, that's a reasonable thing to publish in an American liberal media outlet.
It's like tacit endorsement for the
Yeah.
killing of people
coup.
in the boats.
Yeah, and the overthrowing of a government. I mean, we're not defenders, or I'm not a defender of the Maduro
No.
government, but the idea that like American pundits...
Yeah, some random journalist.
Yeah.
Can be like,
Well, he was actually an advisor to George Bush.
Oh, awesome.
So he's found a place in the liberal
Yeah.
elite as a never Trump Republican.
Thanks, Brett.
Like Dick Cheney and Liz Cheney and all that. So yeah, so that kind of outlet that kind of opinion gets a hearing. The next one's really funny in the AFR. What this Lamborghini can teach about money and happiness.
what can it teach?
It was a
Omar?
really sweet story. This young guy, this 31-year-old guy, was like, just really wanted a Lamborghini, and he made some money somehow, and he's like, I should invest it. But then he was like, oh, maybe I should have some fun. So he bought a $300,000 car, drove it around for a couple of years, and then sold it and lost $30,000. And if you were a serious financial analyst, you would say,
That's wrong.
That's not
that's
okay.
wrong. I mean,
Yeah.
you've made a net loss over
Yeah.
2 years. You could have imagined the profits. But the actual conclusion is he enjoyed himself for those 2 years. And enjoying yourself is part of the point of making money.
So money can buy you happiness.
Yeah. So actually, the true financial success stories also spend money and be happy.
That's nice.
So that's a really
It's
useful piece of
really
advice.
Yeah, I'm going to write that down.
Yeah, so all our listeners, make sure you get a Lamborghini if you want one, or that extra holiday house
I'm doing it tomorrow.
on the coast of France. Yeah, don't deny yourself. Don't do it. More seriously, Germany lifts weapons freeze on Israel in response to Gaza ceasefire. So people know Germany put in a ban like a few months before the end, I'm pretty sure, on selling weapons to Israel. It was put in by the conservative guy, Friedrich Merz. And that was a big move for Germany, which is obviously a strong supporter of Israel. But now everything's back to normal.
We're good. Yeah.
There's peace in the Middle East. Trump's plan has gone through the UN, so we can go back to arming the state of Israel.
It's just terrible.
The final news story, which I think we'll do, is about the Trump-Saudi pacts that have been going on. There's two headlines here. One kind of neutral. Trump says he will approve sale of F-35 fighter jets to Saudi Arabia. That's Al Jazeera. Then The Age reporting, quote, things happen. Trump downplays journalists' murder as he hosts Saudi leader. And in the speech that Trump gave, he actually said nobody liked that guy anyway.
Oh my God.
I mean, this is psychotic. But the thing is, the Saudis and the Gulf, like Qatar, Saudi Arabia, UAE, they are the future of like a certain part of world capitalism. They have so much money. They're so influential. They have funding hubs all through the Middle East, North Africa, parts of Southern Asia and Central Asia. So they are core to US empire moving forward. And that's one of the reasons why Trump got pissed off with the Israelis is because they bombed Qatar. And this is just the next step of saying, because Israel's annoyed about this, you know, he's giving them F-35s. They're the only country that used to have them. So now there'll be two countries that have them. And Trump's point is to say, well, they're also really powerful and pure player, and we don't give a shit about. Israel is only useful insofar as it serves us. The Saudis also serve us. Yeah, they can kill all the journalists they want. Don't give a shit.
I just want to say, like, for listeners, what we do in this segment was just like write down a bunch of the headlines from this week. And in this one, we've got what this Lamborghini can teach about money and happiness. Germany lifts weapons freeze on Israel in response to Gaza ceasefire. Excellent. And then Scaramouche. What's it like in Mar-a-Lago?
Do you want to explain what that means, Emma?
It's an interview with what's that guy called?
I don't know.
The Scaramouche. He was like an advisor to Trump in the first term for like 3 days, and he quit or he got fired, and he's just this celebrity like idiot who The Age has interviewed, and they've come up with a genius headline. I mean,
that is great.
I think you've got to give credit.
Yeah,
I mostly just put that in because I think you've got to give credit to journalists when they come up with a really clever headline.
Do you want to sing it for us?
No.
Anyways, what I was saying is that was a bit of a roller coaster.
Yeah, the highs and the lows of the capitalist press.
Riding out the party line.
Well, with us this morning is Diane Fieldes. Diane was a lecturer in industrial relations at the University of New South Wales and has been a socialist for decades. Diane has a really lovely article about being a teenage socialist, which is a pretty lovely and inspiring read about the participation in the anti-Vietnam War movement. So thanks for writing that, Diane.
It was a pleasure to write it.
So we've got Diane on the show because we wanted to talk a bit about the Whitlam dismissal. This was a period that Diane lived through and was part of. But we are aware that we're a week late.
Sorry.
And
we're often late.
Yeah.
Me in particular.
Yes, definitely. Omar's the kind of guy that you have to tell to come sort of 15 minutes before the start time, and he maybe will show up on time.
Yeah, last week I was what I thought was 45 minutes late to a meeting, but luckily it was only 15 minutes late. So the system works. But yeah, so we would really like our listeners to send us through any important dates that are coming up so we don't fuck it up again. But we think the Whitlam dismissal is really worth talking about. It was a significant moment in Australian history, both for the left and for the right and for the US Alliance and all sorts of things. So we thought it was worth doing, even though it's a bit belated.
Well, Diane, why don't you start us off, like, what was it like in the Whitlam era?
Well, it was a great time to be young. There's that. I never thought of this at the time. I don't think I knew Wordsworth's poems or anything when I was a teenager, but subsequently I learnt this thing about, bliss was it in that dawn to be alive, but to be young was very heaven. That really sums up what it was like. There was so much going on. You felt that the world could be really different and really quickly different as well. And so, you know, and for me, this all predated the election of Whitlam by a couple of years. So it was really the anti-war movement and being a high school activist, getting to know all these old people that were university activists, you know, people like 20 years old, that kind of thing. But the feeling of the time was just so incredibly hopeful, optimistic, but also radical and angry. So, yeah, if that gives a feel for it.
It does. It definitely
Yeah, there's
does.
a lot of stories from that era, from where I went to University Monash, of just students running amok, having mass meetings of thousands of people.
Didn't they abduct a prime minister at Monash? Was that the same era? Or
No,
was
they,
that
they
earlier?
didn't abduct. They abducted a pig and,
Same
and
thing.
called it and named it the prime minister, and let it free on the university campus. Yeah, so it was just an amazing time to be a radical, and then the Whitlam era sort of is fused with that in the historical memory, even though, as Diane says, it was a little bit subsequent. It was in the latter part of that era. But obviously Whitlam did do some interesting and positive things in amongst it all. So can you explain like why the Labor Party actually did anything positive for one of the rare moments of its whole existence? What was going on that encouraged that?
Yeah, it's a good question because, like, it's the last Labor government that actually did anything positive, actually introduced any reforms at all. And I think the credit for it needs to go not to Whitlam, but to the mass movements, the working class militancy and stuff of the time. Like, a lot of the things that Whitlam gets credit for were things that had actually been happening as a result of the anti-war movement, for example. Like, almost all the troops had already been withdrawn from Vietnam by the previous Liberal governments because of the strength of the anti-war movement, the fact that it had working class support and so on. That sort of stuff was just a kind of, they were, you know, kind of the icing on the cake or whatever the phrase is, rather than, oh, Whitlam just, you know, pulled this out of thin air. So a lot of the things that Whitlam did were really just, you know, the granting of kind of more real equal pay for women, for example. The government reopened the equal pay case that the union movement had been running from 1969 to 1972. And then, but the government reopens the case and somehow Whitlam gets the credit. So there's a lot of things like that, I reckon. But I reckon the main thing is to say that what came about, what was positive, was by and large a result of things that took place outside of Parliament, and often with, well, in Whitlam's case, without Whitlam's intervention, that's for sure, because he was on the right of the Labor Party.
Yeah, it's interesting you say the thing about Whitlam being on the right of the Labor Party, because when the anniversary of the dismissal was going on, there was a lot of sort of posts going on around about it. And Gabriella De Vitri from the Greens had a T-shirt saying, you know, Whitlam would have been in the Greens, or Whitlam would have voted for the Greens. So, you know, you've got ostensibly one of the most left-wing sort of representatives of the Greens at the moment trying to invoke this image that they are related to the Whitlam era. You know, the Labor left students that participate in the National Union of Students. I remember a year where they had a T-shirt which was all of the things that Whitlam supposedly gave to us, triple J or double J or whatever, free university degrees, you know, listed at what. And so you've got, like, how do we explain this phenomenon of the left being the ones wanting to claim Whitlam when actually he was part of the right, you know, helped to actually take down the left of the Labor Party as well?
Yeah. I mean, Diane can say more about this, but I think it's the desperation to appeal to a Labor figure that contributed something positive, and you have to go a long way back to do that. I mean, it's not as if Hawke and Keating offer any kind of model for that. And so the free education stuff, I think Medicare or Medibank, maybe it was called then, so early version, like, so there are these reforms that are passed, you know, more rights for women in a series of ways. So there's a sort of modernization that's going on in the era, and it happens in pretty much every country on earth, or every advanced capitalist country, I should say, that there's a sort of modernization going on. The economies are shifting from manufacturing, they're beginning to shift to services and so on. And so you need a more educated workforce. You know, you need women to participate because they're just running out of labor and so on. So Whitlam does some of this stuff and gets the credit for it, which is apart from the movement on the streets, there's also just a kind of development of capitalism going on, which happened under conservatives and social democrats and liberals all around the world, which I think is something much more structural. So he doesn't really deserve it. But I think it's the desperation, you know, like, what are you going to look back to? Albanese, like Rudd, Gillard, you know, like, yeah, what was Rudd memorable for? The mining tax, you know,
Exactly. Yeah.
Sending refugees to be tortured offshore.
It's also interesting that you mentioned, like, you know, Whitlam taking the credit for a lot of the labour movement stuff, because that still happens today. It's just a lot less fun, like with the silicosis ban, the ban on manufactured stone, like that started with the Queensland Northern Territory CFMEU youth crew. They went and picketed a Bunnings to be like, nah, stop it. And then by the time they actually Labor legislated against, like, you know, banning manufactured stone or engineered stone or whatever it's called, the MUA had refused already to unload it or handle it on the docks. Like, this was already pretty much done entirely by the Labor movement, and then the Labor Party gets to take the credit. So it's nice that that's still happening.
A great Labor tradition.
Indeed.
Yeah. Go on. Sorry.
Something else you could say. I mean, just back to the thing that you were saying, Omar, about the modernisation of Australian capitalism, and that, you know, that was one reason that some sections of Australian capital were not opposed. I think you couldn't put it really more strongly than that. Not opposed to the Labor Party coming in 72, which was that they thought that the Liberals could do with a spell in opposition because they were a bit unable to really modernise Australian capitalism. But they had been making some attempts, like even free education. By the time Whitlam introduced free education, half of the students that were going to Australian universities were not paying any fees. So
how was that done?
They had this thing called a Commonwealth Scholarship, a very unusual scholarship where you never actually saw any money yourself. The Commonwealth Scholarship just paid the fees. And so about half of university students were on these supposed scholarships under the Liberal Party before Whitlam got in. But I do think there's something else, though, about the kind of glorious memory of Chairman Gough. And it kind of, if you've seen the iconography, you'll get the Maoist reference. But it was the manner of his demise. The fact of the dismissal has given the guy a kind of, you know, golden aura that actually he does not deserve.
Can you actually tell us about that? Like, were you part of the campaign to oppose that? What was going on?
Yeah, we were very. I was at uni at ANU in Canberra at the time, and you know, we were very actively involved in campaigning against not just the dismissal, but in the month or two before, there was a whole series of things. Obviously, attempts by the ruling class and the Liberal Party. They were done with Whitlam. Basically, Whitlam hadn't been able to rein in the militancy of the working class. First and foremost, that's why they hated him. Not because he was in favour of that militancy. He was constantly trying to stop it, but he wasn't able to do it effectively enough. So they obviously decided, well, we want our real friends, the Liberal Party, to be back in charge. So there were a whole series of undemocratic attacks on the government. You know, a pretty clear, well, democracy is all right so long as we get the outcome that the ruling class wants. And we've decided that we don't like this outcome, so we're going to undermine the government. And then the sacking, well, I remember hearing about, I was at uni on the day, a bunch of us just came into the Students' Association office over the course of the day, heard, oh my God, on the radio, they've sacked Whitlam. So we kind of just called an impromptu rally at the Union Court, made a impromptu banner that said, stop the march to fascism, and marched across the Commonwealth Avenue Bridge to Parliament House, where there were already hundreds and hundreds of other people.
Because you get the feeling that was a really common, like reading the stories about it, so much impromptu anger. Like people were just like, we have to leave work, we have to leave uni, we have to do something about this. Like the immediate reaction from people was, how do we stop what's just happened?
Oh my God, yeah. There were strikes in it, you know, every major city, just walkouts. People, you had a transistor radio at work, listening to the news. Oh shit, they've sacked the government. we're out. And it wasn't because people thought, oh, Gough's so left-wing.
Yeah.
It was, we elected this guy and we are going to be the ones that deal with him, not you. So there was massive strikes and huge demonstrations. In Sydney, somebody got probably the best banner ever. You know, when you go on the freeway, there are those red signs to stop you going the wrong way. It says wrong way, go back. Somebody got one of those and used it as a banner.
That's great.
That is really good. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of mythology about the sacking, that it was all like an American plot to get rid of like a pro-communist, government or something. But I think that's, like, obviously the Americans had a role in everything that happened in the planet, in the Western Hemisphere at that time, or the Western Bloc. But to say that it was an American plot really overstates it. Like, clearly there was growing frustration among the Australian capitalists and
because the overstating thing, it's not just that it's overstating their role, but understating the role of the Australian ruling class and the fact that they wanted to get rid of him as well.
Exactly. So it ends up being an apologia for, little old Australia getting bullied by the Americans. If only we could have an independent foreign policy, all these kind of left nationalist themes, which, while it's not like you can never work with someone who has that illusion, they actually don't clarify what's going on and make it harder to resist.
Yeah, definitely a kind of homemade coup.
Yeah. Well, let's take a step back maybe and talk about Labor throughout history more broadly. So Whitlam is this moment where Labor gets prestige and it sort of lasts to this day. But there's a broader question about Labor, which is most people today on the left do not have any illusions that this is our party or has anything much to offer. There are exceptions which we can get to, but certainly on the radical left. But then there's this idea that the Labor Party was once a socialist party or a radical party or a party that served the working class in some way. As a historian, can you give us, I guess, your perspective on that?
Well, it's not entirely just fanciful. Like, it starts out, the party gets formed in the early 1890s out of a period of mass working class radicalism, some enormous strikes against probably the worst Great Depression, and there's been quite a lot of Great Depressions in the history of capitalism, but the Great Depression of the 1890s was pretty severe, and there were a series of big strikes and so on, and they were ultimately largely defeated. And the level of Australia was the most unionised country in the world in 1890, about 20%. That's more than we have today of the workforce were unionised. By the mid-1890s, that was down to less than 5%. So you've got this situation where people saying quite positive things, that is, we can't just rely on one or other of the capitalist parties to represent workers. We need our own party for the working class. That argument has some purchase, partly also because there's been these defeats and, Labor parties often benefit from defeats. So the party gets formed and it pretty quickly shows itself it's got this pro-working class idea and it's connected to the working class through the trade union officials and so on. They're affiliated to the party. There's a real organisational connection. But politically, what are they? They're a party of capitalism. They say the way to get things for the working class is to rely on getting control of the capitalist state. So that thing that people often say, Labor Party is a kind of capitalist workers' party, it's a contradiction in terms. But as we'll see if we look at more of the history, the contradiction is always resolved in favour of capitalism, not in favour of workers' power.
Yeah, because I suppose when you become a party that is aspiring to be a party of government, you have to start thinking about how do you develop the so-called national interest. And you're right, this does require a papering over the class differences that exist in a nation. And so if you can make the argument that advancing capitalism will be good for the working class, then you can try and pull people in behind you. And then, of course, the Labor Party parliamentarians can be in some way separated out from the working class because they have the trade union bureaucracy to sort of mediate between these two layers in society. But of course, that doesn't always work out for them. Like there can be ruptures, and the working class can actually demand something of the people that are supposed to lead and represent them.
Yeah, like we saw that in World War One, right? We talked about that last week, where the Labor government tries to introduce conscription in the service of empire, and the working class rebels, and even the unions, including very right-wing unions like the AWU, rebels and says, no, we're not signing up to be conscripted. We don't support the sort of the compulsory measures of forcing people to do stuff that they can see rightly that compulsory conscription can lead to compulsory, industrial labor and so on. So they oppose it, and they basically they kick out a Labor government from the Labor Party, which is quite a radical thing to do, given how much we know the unions love having their people in the seats of power. So there are these moments, but then unfortunately, what congeals again is a party that maybe is rebalanced slightly more towards the working class, but as Diane said, is still very much committed to the fundamental maintenance of capitalism.
Well, a bunch of us here on the podcast do like to read a bit of Lenin every now and again.
I have come across that man's name once or twice.
Dabble.
Because, Australia and Lenin are not two words that people would, really put together. But Lenin said that they were a liberal bourgeois party, right? So, Diane, what do you think? Did he get it right or wrong?
I hate to disagree with Lenin, but I think he's wrong. And I think things like the revolt of the union officialdom around conscription in World War One is just a sign of that. That I know we commonly, people all the time these days talk about ALP, another Liberal party, but they're actually, they're not identical. Actually, they're not just another kind of liberal bourgeois party in the same sense. But the mediation between them and the working class comes through the union officials, and the union officials aren't working class either. They're a separate layer, but they're not the same as we're just another party of capital. Yeah,
it'd be much easier for us if all the union leaders weren't such sucks for the ALP, wouldn't it? So, yeah.
Yes. So it is a difference, but often it's a difference that you don't see, or like we're not seeing that difference really in operation today.
I guess one of the big questions of how do you paper over class divisions is you tie people to the national identity. And one of the first founding planks of the Australian Labor Party was White Australia, which was obviously a disgusting racist policy that was in place for decades after it became the plank of the Labor Party. But I guess, what was the White Australia policy about? Why did this party of Labor, this party of the working class, supposedly, introduce such a vile racist founding plank?
Well, it wasn't just a founding plank of the Labor Party. It was one of the first pieces of legislation passed in the federal parliament in 1901 when it was set up. So I think there's a couple of things about this. One is this idea, you blame the working class, they're all racist and so on, which is just such bullshit. You look at every campaign that's seriously taken on racism in this country has been led by working class people, and the most militant campaigns always have involved the most militant sections of the working class. But so I think this idea, which often comes up, the kind of like the Labor Party or the union movement, they invented the White Australia policy. No, Australian capitalism, the invasion of this country, invented the White Australia policy. It came about because this was this white settler colony outpost in Asia. So you've got hostility to the indigenous population who, they generally try and wipe out, and then hostility to all the people of the surrounding region who might somehow get in the way of British imperialism setting up its colony. So I think that's the background. And then obviously if what we've talked about with the Labor Party being this kind of capitalist party is that they're not going to then say, well, we set our face against one of the foundational things of this nation.
One of the other times when Labor kind of gets cred, aside from Whitlam, is the post-World War II era, and the era just around that. So Curtin and Chifley and so on. And Liam Byrne, who works for the Labor Party now, essentially, wrote about, I'll quote him, even while the war was still being waged, that's World War II, which was an annihilatory, war, killed 45 million people. His government set in train the post-war Reconstruction era that led to full employment, growing prosperity, and the expansion of the welfare state. This was an unprecedented improvement in the lives of millions.
That sounds great.
Yeah. So, was it great?
Apparently, according to that, Chifley was responsible for the health of the world economy. Well, a bit much, really, a bit glowing, but also, there were some reforms introduced in the Chifley era at the end of World War II. But again, we have to look at what's going on in the class struggle at this point. Is it just Chifley deciding, we must give things because we're the Labor Party and we're nice to the workers? No, actually, there was this outbreak of militancy even before the war ended, of strikes demanding things like the 40-hour week, improved pay. People were a bit sick of World War II, to be honest. There was never enthusiasm for it like there had been at the start of World War One. It never got that kind of enthusiasm. And the Labor Party spent the war trying to make workers not go on strike, put up with privations of various kinds, both lower wages, but also worse working conditions, longer hours, and so on. So this is all kind of missed out in that quote from Liam Byrne.
I mean, you'd expect that from someone whose Substack is called True Believers. So he really does believe that.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a sad story of Liam Byrne. The other thing about that era, though, and you kind of point to it, Diane, is that the whole world has basically been obliterated by World War II. So they're reconstructing everywhere. And again, very similar policies are implemented in a lot of places. So, the US is sponsoring the reconstruction of Europe and Japan. All those countries are doing rebuilding projects. Public housing in the UK explodes. In Australia, it's always less than that, but it expands as well. So it's a general situation where everyone can see, they know what happened after World War One. After World War One, there was revolutions across the board, and they could see the danger of that. And so they thought, okay, well, let's preempt that. Let's not just sit back and wait. Let's actually implement some measures that can improve people's lives and neutralize the possible anger. And basically, you saw the beginning of a unprecedented and probably never to be repeated era of 25 years or so of consistent growth and expansion of living standards and so on in a small part of the world, not everywhere, but an important part of the world. But that's history now, and we look at the world around us today. Total economic shambles, living standards on the decline, imperialist tensions. It feels like we're in the lead up to a kind of World War I, II situation. And what are the Labor Party and Social Democratic parties offering? Absolutely nothing. So I think that's the urgency with which, people, our listeners we're always asking you to join the socialist movement, because the belief in labourism and social democracy has been a barrier to more fundamental change. If we had actually ended Australian capitalism at some of these upsurges, like in the 60s or in the Great Depression era or whatever, then we wouldn't be facing Trump and Dutton and Hanson and so on today.
Because it's worse than the Social Democratic parties are offering us nothing. Actually, they're contributing to the build-up to war, the militarization, the like we've talked about, like increasing racism.
Yeah, look at Keir Starmer.
Exactly. Like I saw a headline that said Labor are saying they're going to take away people's private possessions, refugees who come into the country. Like they're contributing massively to a more racist, more brutal, more imperialist situation. And that's been Labor's MO since the go.
Yeah, that thing about stealing the jewellery of refugees, which, just cannot but bring back to memories of the Holocaust. But it's now this policy that the British Labor Party is getting from the Danish Social Democrats. And where did the Danish Social Democrats get it from? They got it from Australia, from the kind of anti-refugee policies that were introduced, surprise, surprise, first under Labor in the 90s under Keating, and have been added to and made more horrific by every government, by either Labor or Liberal since. Yeah, that's the kind of the reality of Labor internationally at the moment. So, yeah, why? If you want an argument for why you should be a socialist, I think looking at the Labor Party and its equivalents is really a pretty compelling argument.
They did include an exemption for people's wedding rings, though, which is very nice.
Jesus.
So generous of them.
Yeah.
You're allowed one piece of
You can
jewelry.
keep your wedding ring.
Yeah, so I guess, so Labor, if we understand Labor then as a party that tries to manage capitalism, and to the extent that they've done progressive things, reflects a kind of upsurge from class struggle and social struggle from below, you can kind of see why in today's context where there isn't as much as that as we would like, but there's a lot of pressure from capital, there's the imperialist tensions, you can see why they're going in a certain direction. But then you can also see how when a figure like Jeremy Corbyn comes along in the UK, people's illusions can be very quickly reconstructed. And I think, again, I mean, the disaster of that shows why that method is not a good one. Working within these established pro-capitalist institutions, even though it can be easier to win an election, I mean, he never won, but, you know, it can be easier to get close to winning an election or get close to the rungs of power. Actually, you're tied by the institution you're part of to serving the needs of the system, and you'll be undermined or you will sell out, you know. And so I think, yeah, building up new organizations of the radical left that can fight on a principled basis against racism, against inequality, you know, not blaming migrants for the housing crisis like the Commonwealth Bank did this week, you know, fighting around a principled program is so desperately urgent in this world. And mythologies about Gough Whitlam don't bring us any closer to that. In fact, they just hide the fact that the Labor Party of that era was a disaster in many ways. I mean, they supported what was going on in Indonesia. They were pro-US alliance. They just wanted to renegotiate it slightly. I mean, all the fundamental features of Australian capitalism existed through the Whitlam era.
And I mean, you can actually see the problem in thinking that Labor is ever going to be a party that fights for anyone in their response to the Whitlam dismissal. Maybe for our listeners, Diane, you could say a bit about what the response of Whitlam was to being couped.
Yeah, well, I mean, often what is in the media, or, you know, I've been watching a lot of it over the last week, so you're not really that late. The last week, all these things of, you know, Whitlam on the steps of Parliament House, you know, well, may we say God save the Queen because nothing will save the Governor General, maintain your rage, etc. Well, the maintain your rage stuff was just, what he meant was maintain your rage, screw it up into a tiny little ball, put it inside yourself at home alone, and then go and vote. But please don't do anything else. And there was such I mentioned before about on the day itself, just strikes all over, people just spontaneously walking out of work and so on. But there continued to be strikes. And the union officials who were desperate to do what Whitlam wanted, which was people seem to be out of control. The union officials agree with Whitlam that we've got to kind of manage this. Bob Hawke, who was the leader of the ACTU at the time, famously said, cool it. That's what we have to do, cool it. So there's this kind of upsurge of absolute rage, fury, you know, almost, you know, not exactly a revolutionary situation, but the potential is so there. And actually, even Bob Hawke, the leader of the ACTU, can't calm it down. And so sadly, what is necessary for the Labor Party is for John Halfpenny in big rally in Melbourne on the 14th of November, so a few days after the dismissal. It's Halfpenny who actually tries to get people to go back home, to leave the city and so on, by virtue of his cred as, but I'm in the Communist Party. I'm the leader of the most left-wing union, I guess the kind of equivalent in those days of, say, the CFMEU, but way more militant than the CFMEU is these days. He can't quite calm things down. A small group of socialists are able to lead thousands of workers from that rally down to the stock exchange. But, of course, unfortunately, that small group of socialists, operative word, sadly, is small. So they can lead because they can tap into that mood, but they can't, they're too small to actually be able to move things on, which kind of just gets back to the point we were just talking about before about why actually trying to build a bigger socialist organisation that's serious about moments like this. You don't try and shut it down like the Communist Party did in 1975. You try and accelerate it, grow it, get more people involved and so on. But you've got to have forces before that day comes.
Totally. That might be a good place to wrap it up.
Yeah. Thanks so much for joining us, Diane. You're welcome back anytime.
It's been a pleasure, even though I kind of didn't realise that we'd be actually looking at each other, but that's been nice too.
Well, thanks for being not just a teenage socialist, but a socialist until now. Thanks, Diane.
Oh, and forever.
Bye.
Bye.
Riding out the party line.
Let's talk about
What?
socialist unity.
Oh, yeah.
All the conferences. You guys have been going to conferences, haven't you?
I haven't. You have. We're going to Canberra.
That's right.
So there's been a bunch of conferences interstate trying
Yeah.
to establish all the different branches of the Socialist Party.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I was at the Adelaide one, and it was really fantastic.
Yeah.
They had it over 2 days, and I think there were about 100 people who participated in it. And it was just like so many people were so keen to be part of it. There was this quite amazing like prison rights activist. His name was Dan.
Probably still is.
Oh, yeah. His name is Dan. Thanks, Jody.
You're welcome.
And yeah, he moved a bunch of motions about, sort of supporting prisoners and thinking about the way that our society just, puts people in these warehouses and locks them away. They had discussions about the algal bloom in South Australia. And yeah, they're going to be running in the state elections, which are happening in March.
Oh, that's really soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not as... we can't run as SA socialists, right? Because of some undemocratic electoral law.
The electoral rules in Adelaide are crazy.
Yeah, they're fucked.
Like,
They're
so
properly
they,
fucked.
there's over 400 people who have participated in this registration process. They've had a founding conference. They've pre-selected their candidates. And the South Australian rules are like, you got to wait 8 months.
Yeah.
You got to wait 8 months between registering and actually being able to be a party.
In New South Wales, it's
It's
a year.
12. Yeah. But in South Australia, it's also like, also you can't raise any money
Can't raise any
to
money.
like, also call flutes are banned. Like
It's really bad.
it's
What
like
do you mean
only,
you can't raise any money?
like political donations are banned in South Australia, which is a good thing, generally speaking. Like that's a good law. We shouldn't have, private corporations like,
So how
Clive
does anyone
Palmer.
run in anything?
well,
You just
you
have
have
to
to be
already be-
already established as a political
Well, that's
party.
not a good thing at all.
No,
No.
no, if it wasn't for that bit, it's like,
But
yeah,
that is the fundamental
what-
bit.
totally.
So what it means is the existing parties can just exist
are
forever,
entrenched.
and no one is allowed to challenge them.
And it
Labor's just
coincided
like-
with a massive increase in funding to the already
Oh,
established parties.
what a surprise!
So Labor's just like gerrymandered the whole state
Totally.
through their like control of the...
Good on it.
Through a nominal anti-corruption
That's
policy.
right.
Yeah. But then also, if you say it's bad, then all the Laborites are like, oh, so you want Clive Palmer to give billions of dollars to the Liberals or whatever? You're like, awesome. That's what we're saying.
It's bad. But the conference was really good. And yeah, the New South Wales conference happened the previous weekend. I think they had like about 250 people at
It
the
looked big,
conference. Yeah, and like a lot of good discussions. I mean, a lot of the people there have been involved in the Palestine Solidarity Movement in Sydney. They were talking about the housing, like the council's fucked up housing plan for the inner west.
Yeah, it's the classic YIMBY thing, right? Where
Yeah.
they just want to like hyper develop
Yeah, abundance.
expensive apartments and pitch that as like an affordability measure.
That's right, yeah. And so New South Wales, the socialist crew there, they've also had run-ins with the sort of electoral system being
Oh, yeah.
undemocratic and unfair for newer groups trying to enter the political arena, where their bid for the name the New South Wales Socialists was actually pushed back because there's a rule that you can't have a name which is like similar to another party.
Yeah, if an ordinary person would be confused as to like a relationship between the parties and stuff like that.
Yeah, so there's like another group in New South Wales called the Socialist Alliance who have a state registration there. And so we tried to register the New South Wales Socialists, and the New South Wales Electoral Commission pushed them back. They're registering as New South Wales SOC now, and the registration process seems to be going really well. So they should have a registration soon.
But what it means is we have to get 850 people to resubmit documents, re-sign them, and do all that kind of stuff with a new name.
I mean, this idea that like a party owns a word like socialist, you know.
Yeah.
And especially the word socialist. Like it's quite a loaded word.
Yeah.
But what this has all done is sort of opened up a bit of an urgency to the discussion about, you know, how can we try and bring together the sort of disparate socialist groups that exist in Australia. I don't know about you guys, but I sort of think that we would be in a stronger position if sort of the Socialist Party and Socialist Alliance could combine our forces.
Totally.
In Victoria and New South Wales, across the whole country. Because, you know, we actually have a lot in common in terms of what we're trying to fight for. And just makes sense to me that there'd be one Socialist Party, of people coming together to try and push that everywhere we can.
Totally, yeah. And if you look at our registrations in all the various states and territories where they're not registered and all that kind of stuff, like it makes sense. Let's join forces and fight for the same thing.
Yeah, because the whole point of the VS and then the Socialist Party nationally is like there are different currents of thought within it. You know, there are different organizations, there are independent groupings, there are caucuses, like all that's totally normal. So because to be clear, the Social Alliance didn't try and block the registration in New South Wales, but their existence just inherently is an excuse for the establishment to go, you know what, we don't really want you. And so it would be very easy and doable to just have like the Social Alliance still existing exactly in the same way, running candidates, you know, if they democratically won the vote in a local area to run their candidate, you know, and they had a good candidate, like there's no reason why that wouldn't happen. And still have their own publication, their own networks, whatever. But just as part of an umbrella organisation. And that's what already happens with Socialist Alternative in Victorian Socialist, and there are other groupings historically, and there could be more in the future. So it just makes sense. It just gives us... It sort of seems silly when, for example, in Western Australia right now, both the parties are trying to register. And it's like,
why?
Presumably we're calling the same people.
Totally.
And it just creates pointless confusion and division. So... I think there's a sort of bureaucratic argument to unite, but then there's also a political one.
Totally.
Like would be much stronger if we were combining our forces. And for example, like the Sue Bolton campaign for Wills recently, like I know VS campaigned quite hard for her, donated like $13,000 to her campaign. Like you guys were working together, Geordie, you and her. Like, so that's an example of how it can work constructively. Yeah. But it's sort of pointless that it's
separate.
External rather than internal.
Yeah, totally. And like there's been a lot of discourse online this week because we made a statement kind of calling for unity, and it was kind of after an article was put out about the situation, and we didn't respond to that article, but like it misrepresented what has been going on with our discussions and stuff like that. And then all of the discourse has been like, Socialist Alliance shouldn't dissolve into Victorian Socialists. And like no one's saying that. Like literally not a single person is saying that that is what should happen. Totally. And yeah, that's been really frustrating.
Yeah, I think that there's room for people to have their independent political perspectives and arguments, but we're trying to achieve something similar, which is build a socialist electoral presence that can be a real like political challenge to the politics of the mainstream. And, you know, there's a lot of joke online about, oh, the left is always infighting and why can't they just get their shit together? And, you know, a lot of the reason why different sections of the left are not in the same organisation is because they have political, like fundamental political disagreements, which can't be papered over. For example, like, you know, a revolutionary socialist organisation wouldn't want to totally merge into something like the Democratic Party or something like that, like, you know,
or support a Labor government.
Yeah, exactly. You know? There can be sort of differences that are
some exceptions
insurmountable. But with this one, it's like Geordie's right. Like no one's asking anybody to dissolve. We actually want to have like organizational unity around a project that we all support.
Yeah.
So it makes sense to be in the same camp.
Yeah, and like we do the same things when there are elections. And also, you know, we're doing heaps more stuff not during elections too. So like it's really helpful to get people involved in that.
Yeah, and like right now there's like 5,500 members of the Victorian all the vocal branches of the Socialist Party nationally. So this is like
we've grown massively. Yeah,
like we'd be 3 times more the size of the Social Alliance ever reached, you know, in their peak in 2002, 2003. And they're much smaller than that now. So it's not that they have to dissolve, but it's like at the moment there's just this block from this unprecedented historical development going forward. And I think any socialist who wants to see that experiment progress and to see what could happen from a socialist party with, you know, 6,000 members going forward, who knows? Like, I think the obligation is there to give it a shot. I just think that's the simple facts of it. The only reason to not give it a shot is to put your own organization ahead of that broader movement that we're trying to build.
Yeah.
So if you're listening and you're a member of the Socialist Alliance, we'd love to have you on board.
Yeah. Yeah.
Please join.
Riding out the party line.
Thanks for listening to The Party Line. You've been listening to The Party Line. And yeah, that was a fun episode. Also, we're cancelling the ads now, which I think is the most important takeaway from this episode. Not anything about the Labor Party, Socialist Unity, the Epstein files.
Definitely not the Epstein files.
Absolutely not.
And if you want to keep the ads off, please become a Patreon. It's not about the ads anymore, but it actually does really help. Like, Geordie's just had to pay for the service to like I don't really understand, but broadcast the podcast to the casting services, something. So anyways, it costs money to do that. And so your support's really awesome.
Yeah, really helpful.
And remember to submit listener questions as well so that we can do that. And we're going to have a special guest next week. Should we tell them who it is?
I think we should.
Should we tease
Yeah.
We
it?
should. No, we should.
I don't want to say who it is. I think we should like just, oh my God, there's a special guest.
I'm okay with that.
No, okay, one of you say it.
I'm
I don't even know how to pronounce his name.
Channel 6 news kid who's not a kid anymore.
Yeah.
Leo
we are.
Puglisi.
But the reason we're having him, it's actually really serious. The government ban on underage social media use is coming in a couple of weeks. And Leo has been a journalist since he was like 13 or 14.
A pretty impressive one.
Yeah, like doing way better coverage of politics than the mainstream media. And, you know, none of that would have been possible because YouTube is banned. So we're going to talk to him about that, about the question of underage voting, which is still a debate, you know, in Australia. And probably link that to the fact that he could go to jail as an adult. You know, he could have gone to jail as an adult at the age of 14, but can't run a podcast.
Exactly.
I was wondering, like, why are you putting him
Can't
in
watch
jail?
YouTube.
No, I'm not putting him in jail. The government, Jacinta Allen would rather do that.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, remember to drop in the comments. Are you team Labubu or Monchichi? Bye.
Don't worry about that. My God.